Good evening.
Good evening. Well, let's bow our heads in prayer. Father, we thank you. We thank you for this beautiful day you've given to us. Thank you, God, for bringing us here together. And our prayer, Lord, is that our time together would not only be profitable, but also bring glory to your name. God, we pray for every person in this room, those who are sitting behind the bench and those who are in the audience. Lord, you know our hearts and you know what we are going through and facing. Lord, we pray that you would touch our lives. And God, we lay down all our needs and cares and burdens before you, and we trust you. Lord, we also pray for our nation. We pray for our men and women in uniform. We pray, Lord, for your blessing upon them. Again, God, we pray that everything we do tonight would bring glory to you. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right now, we're going to have the introduction of our facilities and maintenance director from our county manager.
Mr. Jeffrey Parsi, can you come up for me, please? Thank you, Madam Chair. I put you on the spot real quick. I just wanted to introduce you to the commissioners. You all, this is our new facilities and maintenance director, and he started with us last Tuesday. And thank you, Frankie, for serving in the interim role since December. So we just wanted to welcome you, and we look forward to working with you.
I'm looking forward to it. Nice meeting you guys. Don't go too far, Frankie.
Thank you. You have a good night. I appreciate you.
Welcome. Can you say his name again?
Jeffrey Parsi. Jeffrey Parsi. Yes, sir.
All right, right now we have an appointment, Frankie Nobles, Employees Engagement Team. For the month recognition.
Good evening, Commissioners. I usually wait and bring up the employee of the month at the end, but this lady is kind of special. She's been employed at Vance County longer than I've been born, so.
Oh, my goodness.
Thursday, come on up here. This is a few things that her teammates had to say about her. She's always willing to assist in other areas when they may be staff shortage or to cover another department. She helped when I was over planning. She would come over and answer the phone at lunchtime, so we wouldn't have to close the office. And she's helped do that in other departments as well. Initiative. She uses her historical knowledge of Vance County to assist staff and citizens with getting resolutions to their inquiries. Willing to learn new tasks so she can assist wherever needed. If you want to know anything about Vance County, she knows it. Attendant, she's always at work and on time. Above and beyond, whenever asked to assist, Dolores is willing without hesitation. How has the employees assisted with providing services to the public? Dolores always greets the public who show up in person or via phone with getting their questions answered. She is kind, gentle, and fun to talk with. I'm gonna let Ms. Williams come up and
No, I'm never lost a word, but I always got something to say. But I will say, I'm older than dirt. I've been here longer than dirt. Really, I've been here longer than the asphalt parking lot. A long time, we pulled up the telephone pole. Anything else you want to know other than that? I'm the oldest thing in the courthouse working.
Well, Frankie pretty much said it all, but you really have been a blessing to me since I came in April 1st with you sharing your of 24, your wisdom and your knowledge with me. I enjoy the little chit chats we have throughout the day. So you have really helped me out a lot. Anything I've asked you to do, you just, no problem. You know, once you've been shown how to do it, absolutely no issue. And that I really appreciate you. And I'll try to see if I get my sister to make some more shrimp grease. But I appreciate you. I'm glad to have you as part of my team. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? My first year's salary in 1975 was $726 for the whole year. And I had worked 2 years before that. I don't know what I made then, but first year county employee. A lot of y'all make that much a month.
And how many total years? Count.
I've been in that office 50 years.
50 years, that's.
I do have one side note, Ms. D. I just want to say thank you for sharing your ketchup with me. Your ketchup, your ketchup,
Yeah.
the ketchup.
Dolores, you said Dolores, you said your first salary was what in 1975? Was your salary for the year was what? 19 what? Mine, 1969, I worked in Virginia as a teacher, was 5,600 for the whole year. I'm older than, I'm dirt. Yeah.
Because I don't know. Exactly. This ketchup tastes good. It's so good, though.
Here, we're gonna do our public and, comments. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes, to state your purpose and also, tell us your address, your name and your address. First is Sharita Jones.
Good evening. My name is Sharita Jones, and my address is 804 Eastway Drive, Henderson, North Carolina. I'm here today on behalf of Vance County Association of Educators, where I am currently the president. Over the past few months, VCA organized a petition urging support for increased investment in our public schools. Over 350 Vance County Schools employees signed that petition. We are grateful that the Vance County Schools heard our voices and included our requests in their proposed budget to raise the local teacher supplement from $2,500 to $5,000 and to increase the pay for the classified staff by 10%. Now we are urging you to vote in favor of this request. Vance County has not raised the local teacher supplement in at least 25 years. Meanwhile, we rank 107 out of the 115 districts in our county per student spending, and 76 out of 100 counties in the public schools funding effort. These numbers do not reflect the value of our community that it places in education. I want to take a moment to share something personal. I have been in education for 14 years. All of these years have been in Vance County Schools. I am a product of Vance County Schools. I have always worked a second job to make ends meet. Right now, I work my second job at Vance County Jail. At your last call meeting, you recognized the staffing crisis there and voted to increase the pay for officers, as well as added incentive for staff who come to work those rounds. That was a wise and necessary decision, and so is this. Just as you took action to support those who protect our county, we are asking you now to do the same for those who educate the children every day. We're asking you to double the teacher supplement to $5,000 because our students suffer when the teachers leave Vance County schools. The state budget does not respect educators, but Vance County's budget should. Our students deserve experienced, committed teachers. Our teachers deserve to be paid like the professionals they are. We also ask that you approve a 10% pay increase for classified staff. Our front office staff, bus drivers, school nutrition workers, instructional assistants are the glue that holds our schools together. Many of them work second jobs just as I do. When we are short on bus drivers, students get home late and they are tired. Other staff have to stay after hours. When we are short in the cafeteria, sometimes students lose time. Thank you for your time this evening. I hope that you've heard the urgency in what I've shared, and I've respectfully asked you to vote in favor of Vance County Schools budget. Thank you.
Angela Ryan.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Angela Ryan, 327 Franklin Road. And I just want to bring a couple of things, and unfortunately, one of them is about taxes. So sorry, last time it wasn't. First of all, I want to say with the Fireman Appreciation, wanting to welcome Chief Harrison. I don't know if he's here or not, but I am really hoping and praying that with his experience and his knowledge, that he's going to bring you all some answers that we so desperately need in this county. So I'm excited about what's going to happen and some changes that are going to be made. So speaking of that, several months ago, Commissioner Kelly, when you spoke of telling the taxpayers about the need for the 10 cent above revenue neutral and how that was necessary in order to bring about some of the needs for us, like the jail, better pay for our first responders, fire department needs, all these things that we need, that we needed to pay these taxes. Well, we're sucking it up and we're paying those taxes, okay? So, we expect you to do and be good stewards of our money. One of those things that I have a concern about is the fire department, and I know that they worked very hard on presenting to you a budgeted amount, and I know that budget is on the table for you all to be looking at and discussing things. I believe they asked for that 8.9 cent per 100 to be left alone. That way they would have a substantial amount to work with in their budget. But from what I understand, that is being looked at as lowering. I want you to reconsider that. I believe that $45,000 that they have requested is needed. I believe they have shown you why it's needed, and it's so much. I've had a chance to go, and I don't know when's the last time you all have went in any of these fire departments, but it's hand-me-down. It looks like we're in a hand-me-down situation, and we're better than that. Vance County is better than that. We are just better, and we got to show better. I know y'all are looking at things with the jail. I'm excited about that. I think that is a need, and it's just we want to see these things, and I just ask that you really look at that budget and think and make the best decision based on what is best for us, the citizens of this county. And I do want you, my last thing is to please consider, I know that vote is probably on the table tonight about that parcel on Highway 39. Please, we don't want that to be that situation that we had talked about before. I think my time is getting ready to buzz out. So thank you. I appreciate all of y'all.
Thank you. Mary Williams.
Good evening. My name is Mary Susan Williams. I live at 109 Westlake Drive inside the city limits of Henderson. Good evening. As we head into the critical part of the year budgets, I want to take time to reflect on some of the events of last year. It's been a hard year for a lot of people, made even harder by the toll placed on people's finances by a large increase in property values and the large and surprising increase in the tax rate. While it's understandable that taxes pay for things that keep our city and county running, I believe we have to begin to think about how much people can really afford to pay. It's been an alarming year for many people who've done without things they need in order to pay their taxes. Or some have not been able to pay them at all, which is stressful in its own way, especially for our elderly and disabled on a fixed income. I would ask that you do everything you can this year to be transparent. And at the root of this is to all understand that you're stewards of our money. I understand our tax collection rate is at approximately 94%, and 97% is the minimum collection rate expected to not garner negative attention from auditors and such. And with legal action already beginning by means of garnishments being under our 97% collection rate, it should be most important not to add more burden for next year. And we have all seen, and we are aware of the large dollar needs in our county, and that must be addressed. However, it's up to you, our elected officials, to find reasonable ways to meet those needs. Solely placing the burden on our residents by increasing taxes is not acceptable. I'm not here just for myself, but on behalf of every tax-paying citizens who said, enough is enough. Please be wise, thoughtful, and considerate of the people of Henderson who elected you to serve in their best interest. It's unrealistic and unfair to be expected for the taxpayers to pay the burden of things that have been neglected. These excessive taxes have put many people in a bind, including our tax office, who has to exert more manpower to collect the monies that have not been collected. I'm asking you to do the right thing and asking you to explore ways to prevent this from happening again. Excessive home values and large increases in our tax rates. Historically, this has not been a problem as taxes were always adjusted so that the impact was not as it was this year. There needs to be something in place to protect homeowners from this happening again, some type of cap on the percentage increase or other feasible way to protect our citizens and their livelihoods. Please lower our taxes so people can get relief. We want our city and county to grow, and we want our leaders to put things in place to attract people to come here and not push them away. And remember, we are your people. You are our people, and we need to work together to make Vance County a place people want to be.
Thank you. Kristen Salinas.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Christian Salinas. I'm at 526 Old Warrenton Road. I believe many of you received an email and probably a phone call or voicemail from me this last week to request a meeting with you from the VCAE, the Vance County Association of Educators. I currently work at STEM Early High School as a career and technical education teacher. I focus on coding. My students are currently working on building their own AI where they're going to collect all the data themselves and actually deploy it for our community to help them with the recycling issue. This is my first year being a union member. I've been working in Vance County for 3 years, and I'm here because our students deserve a great public education. I requested the opportunity to speak with you all today in order to show my support of increasing the supplemental pay and teacher salary. Now, really quick, a little bit about me. I am an Air Force veteran that served 8 years in the military. After that, I worked at the second largest university in New Jersey before coming here and moving into Vance County. It was during this move that I actually decided to transition my career to become a public school teacher. One of the things that I can say I am most proud of is that all of my work has been in the public sector in order to support my community. I understand the restraints that are placed on institutions, the give and the take that's required of our leadership, and the necessity of fiscal responsibility in this realm. However, I also understand the demands that are placed on our teachers, both in and out of the classrooms. In the classroom, we often need to buy our own materials because we don't have time to wait for requests to be going through. We also are expected to work outside of our own contracted hours without any additional pay or support. Or we're asked to support extracurricular activities for no additional pay or support. Not only am I one of the teachers in this county that's struggling with our low pay, This is something that is a common theme amongst many of the teachers here, many of whom are also international teachers. For me personally, I don't have extra added mouths. I don't have my own kids. I don't have an extra spouse or anybody like that. It is just me to feed. And many of these teachers do not have the opportunity to go out and find these extra funds to find a second job like my colleagues or like myself. I need you all to please just take a moment and think about that for a second. I, an Air Force veteran, someone who has thus far dedicated his entire career to the public service, has an advanced degree, and financially speaking, I only need to take care of myself, struggle to make my ends meet. We can do better than that. We must do better than that. This year, I actually had to also get a second job at the at Vance Granville Community College to teach the GED program out there. I strongly would encourage you all to vote for this increase in pay. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamil Williams.
Good evening. My name is Jamil Williams. I'm 316 White Oak Drive in Henderson. I'm here tonight on the behalf of the Vance County Association of Educators. I am the immediate past president. And I remember being here 25 years ago, and we asked the same board to increase our supplement. And they did by $1,000, making it $2,000 and $2,500. Now, 25 years later, we need this increase. I work at a school right now, and we have 3 positions, and we cannot fill. I'm a reach associate / bus driver. Bus drivers is short as well. Cafeteria, short as well. I don't know if it's the pay. I do 2 jobs. I'm the reach associate. I help the administrators. I help the teachers. I drive the bus. That's why I'm late now, driving 2 loads because we want the kids to get there. It's all about the kids. It's all about our community. 37 years in Vance County Schools, okay? And so we really do need this to retain the teachers that we do have and recruit some to come here. And also we need bus drivers every day. Every day. It's all about the kids, all about those kids getting home. You know, when I miss and they had to have a subs, some parents complain. They got home at 7 o'clock. We get out at 3, they got on 7 o'clock. So it is hard. Bus drivers need to get paid. Reach associates need to get paid. Instructional assistants need to get paid. We need something, and I know we can do better in Vance County. Thank you for letting me do this. Petition you all to do the best. Think about it, pray about it, and think about the vacant positions that we have in Vance County. Thank you.
Thank you. Caroline Burnett. Good evening.
My name is Caroline Burnett. I live at 1825 Summit Road here in Henderson, and I'm always coming up here and complaining. So tonight I'm not going to complain. I am going to thank you because I really feel like each of you are doing your due diligence and looking at the issues that the community and the public are concerned with. I specifically want to thank Mr. Kelly for driving in my driveway one day, and we had a great conversation. And I really do think that all of these people who are coming to these meetings are, I don't want to say reminding you to do your due diligence, to look at the issues, to understand the issues, and to see how this impacts this community. So I thank you so very much for that. We appreciate it. The community appreciates it. The citizens appreciate it. I'm also asking again to implore you to please look at the tax rate for this next year and see if there's any way that you can possibly reduce that tax rate to give everyone a little bit of relief. And again, in doing your due diligence, I'm sure that all of you understand that usually when tax rates increase with appraisals and assessments, then usually the tax rate for the county will go up 1 to 2 cents, possibly 3 cents, not 10 cents. So we would ask you to keep in line with everybody else in the state of North Carolina and make sure that you give the citizens who are trying to assist you and who vote for you an opportunity to be able to live in a community and thrive in a community. So thank you all so very much. Thank you for this time. And Mr. Kelly, again, thank you so much for that wonderful conversation that we had. It was lots of fun. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Butler Tubbs.
We're not Gladys Knight and the Pips. We're not going to sing. My name is Sandra Butler Tubbs. I live at 350 South Cokesbury Road in Henderson. Even though it says Henderson, I'm outside of Henderson, but it's okay. This is Earl Stain. I am, or I was, the senior Tar Heel legislature delegate for Vance County, and I have stepped down. And Earl was, he was the alternate who was sworn in March at the March Senior Tar Heel meeting. And he was groomed by Carson Clark, who was the previous alternate. And we didn't always have a way of how to do this, but I think that the commissioners need to know who's representing us. We represent the seniors. We participate with the state, across the state, with the 100 counties who do not have all of the delegates in place. We have prepared Earl better than I was prepared in 2017. You all didn't see me for a couple of years. You didn't even know I was out there. You're meeting Earl. He got sworn in March as alternate, and we're hoping that at the June meeting, he will be sworn in as the delegate. And he has been prepared better than I have. Carson and I have worked with him, and we came tonight not only to introduce him, but to let you know we're not abandoning him. We're going to work with him. We're going to help him out if he's got questions. So he will be the best representative you've had for Senior Tar Heel legislature since before I was here. That's it. If you need to have any questions or anything, but just wanted you to know that I've stepped down. He's going to be in. Carson's been out since the end of last year. Thank you.
Ms. Tubbs?
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for what you've done for the senior citizens in this county. You've been very diligent for a number of years and you've been very persistent. And thank you for what you've done. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We also look disappointed. I would have liked to hear Midnight Trains in Georgia, would you? Thank you all. We would just like the citizen to know as the elected official, we do hear you all. And we do take everything in consideration and heart. So thank you all for what you brought to us on tonight. Have an appointment, Peter West, Department of Health and Human Services. Is he here? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Peter West. I'm the section chief for county operations with North Carolina Department. This is long. Health and Human Services Division of Social Services. Bring it up. Yeah, I've never been told that's too loud. Didn't talk loud enough. Right. I primarily work in the child welfare section and have been working with Sandy Weaver, your director at DSS here. I did a presentation for the DSS board a few weeks ago just to talk some about workforce crisis and how things are going. You've already heard a lot tonight about workforce crisis and other areas too. One of the things I want to do as I go through this in the next few minutes, I'm the data geek in our work. And so I brought you some numbers just to see, and they're all Vance County numbers. So you can see what staffing has looked like over the last several years in Vance County, at least to give you an idea as you consider things moving forward. One of the things I learned a long time ago from a very wise, old philosopher was that our workforce is our greatest resource. All right. That's Tom West. That's my dad. All right. He was a general contractor all of my life, worked for 2 different companies. In each of those companies, he had 2 men that followed him every job that he had. Every couple of months, as he'd finish a job, he'd add on 15 cents an hour, 30 cents an hour, 50 cents an hour. Those men stayed with him until my dad retired. In the process of that, especially when he was working in Mecklenburg County, he and that crew won 5 new building awards, primarily because of the work that they did together. Right? Workforce is crucial to everything that we do, all right? But especially in child welfare, all right? The work of child welfare is 24/7. It never goes away. And we've got to make sure that we're covering the needs of the children in this county, all right? Here's some things to think about. Why does the workforce matter? And I'm not going to read all these to you, but I do want to highlight a couple of them, all right? The first one that I want you to see is that child welfare workforce, their primary responsibility is safeguard. You know, when that phone call comes in and they decide we need to go intervene, they have a responsibility to not only assess what's going on, they got a plan for safety. Is this a good place for this child? And to look at, how can I help mom and dad? You know, what's going on here so that we can support these parents so this child can stay in this home, all right? That's a lot of work, and it takes a lot, and it takes a whole thing, a lot of people working together, but especially they become advocates, not just for the child's needs, but for the family's needs as well, all right? So they're looking to strengthen families, all right? The other thing that's really important right now, child welfare workers are committed in the work that they do to social justice. It doesn't matter when that report comes in. They're going to work across the board to protect every child and ensure every family is strong in all that they do, all right? And so part of their role is providing resources, providing that support on a regular basis, okay? Child welfare work's not easy. Let me tell you something. I started in 1997 doing field work, did that for about 8 or 10 years, and was a supervisor the last 7 years that I worked in the county, all right? Child welfare work has always been demanding. I mean, I can remember when I first came out of pre-service, the caseloads that I had, then I look at the caseloads they carry now, all right? There's a high degree of uncertainty in this work because at any moment on any day, a family crisis can happen just like that, and it hits you all of a sudden, all right? It's difficult to plan, all right? They're also making life and death decisions, right? And think about that, all right? The life of that child is in their hands, working with their supervisor to decide what is best for this child. And if the wrong decision is made, it can be disastrous, right? Trauma for children and families, the traumatic stress, we call this secondary trauma that the workers actually have to go through. A lot is being invested right now, right? So that what they have to go through, the things that they have to see on a regular basis, wears them down. The bureaucratic system, right? I'll be the first to admit, I'm the state, I create that policy, I create those forms. We're trying to fix some of that, all right? But it is there. And then there is that external oversight. Another part of our role at the state is we audit. We look at the work. We look at the caseloads. We look at how federal dollars are spent when it comes to protecting children, all right? So there's a lot of scrutiny, and it gets to them, okay? So here's a couple things I want to show you. Understanding all that, let's talk a little bit about Vance County, all right? Let me tell you where these numbers are coming from. Every year, now here's the part I have to admit. At the moment, North Carolina is still what we call a paper state. We don't have a centralized collection system where we can just gather information. So every year, we ask every county director to report to us their workload numbers. How many have you hired? How many have been let go? How many do you actually have budgeted? Right? This is what it's looked like in Vance County since 2020, right about the time COVID was happening. Right? That top line that you see, that's how many were budgeted total FTEs for social workers in Vance County, okay? The second number that you see, we call that available. So on an average basis in 2024, there were 8 warm bodies available to do the work of 15 people, okay? We also calculate based on caseloads how many they actually need to do the work. All right, so there are caseload standards, and I'll talk about each as we go through them, but there are standards that they have to try to comply with, all right? As you can see, in 2024, they needed 16. They only had 8. And if you look over the years, see how that has steadily increased? The caseloads have gone up, right? The availability has stayed the same. Here's where I want to show you something, and that's in the specific areas, all right? This is intake. These are the people that pick up the phone, take that information from the reporter, share that with a supervisor to decide, all right? Take a look. Now, this one stayed pretty stable, all right? The caseload number here is 100 phone calls a month per one worker, all right? That's about average. That's what we put down as a caseload standard for the state, okay? So it's about 100, right? And as you can see, when we say budgeted, Vance County doesn't get necessarily that many reports on a regular basis, so you didn't need that many, all right? Not that you wouldn't have a full-time position, but a lot of these positions are split so that you have multiple people doing this particular work, okay? Here's the one that really worries us the most, and this is assessments. These are the folks that go out and knock on the doors. So when that report is approved or accepted, and we're gonna go work with that family, these are the folks who make that first contact, meet with mom, meet with dad, meet with the child, talk to the collaterals, put a safety plan in place if it's needed, right? I want you to look over the years how things have gone, okay? You've stayed on average about budgeted 4 on a regular basis, right? You see how your availability has gone down. And again, that's the number of warm bodies that have been available to go out and do these reports. But what do you see going up? The number of cases consistently going up, as well as the number needed to do the work, all right? That can be problematic, and I'll share some why in just a moment, all right? These are in-home cases, all right? These are cases where, and let me go back here real quick. We reckon the state says 1 to 10 right here, okay? In-home cases, same thing, all right? These are the cases where abuse, neglect, or dependency has been found, it's happened, but the department is confident enough that with the right services in place and the right social worker there, the child can remain in the home while the department works with them through these services, right? This has become a big need, right? And again, you see how the numbers have steadily declined as cases have declined too, okay? Here's another one that's interesting. This is foster care. We recommend 15 children for one worker. You see how the number of cases, and when I say cases, that means the number of children that on average were in custody in Vance County, right? With a budgeted almost a 4, all right? Never having more than 2 available over the last 5 years of work, okay? Needing at least almost 5 to cover the caseload. And foster care is important because when a child comes into care, our primary goal is to get them home with a relative, some type of permanence as quickly as we can. If all staff can do or just cover the basics, it's difficult to move that forward, okay? Adoption has become similar. See how your number of adoption cases have gone up? Budgeted numbers have gone down, right? Those available have gone down. Those that were needed have gone up, right? If you know me, this is my soapbox. The number one most important position in any child welfare agency is that direct line supervisor. Not the director, not the deputy, not the county manager, right? But that direct line supervisor. Why? Because that is a person that is guiding and directing and pushing that worker to get things done. They're the ones holding that worker accountable, advocating for the worker to be able to do the work, getting them to critically think through a case, right? Supervision, direct line, effective supervision affects not only safety on a consistent basis, but it also affects permanency when a child comes into care, all right? This one is problematic, as you see. You've budgeted for 3 supervisors. At no time in here have you ever had that many available to actually supervise the staff that you've got, all right? You've needed more than 3 on a regular basis, and that's just based on the caseloads that are there, okay? So here's some hiring patterns, and this was given to me by the local folks. In 23-24, new hires, but there were 50 departures. There were 50 pending hires at the end of that fiscal year. 25 got a little bit better, all right? Didn't have as many new hires, but didn't have as many departures, and you still got about the same number of pending hires. Here's one I really want you to look at. Casey Foundation that does a lot of work with child safety, child permanency, all over the nation. They've created a calculator that they use to just determine what does it cost to actually lose a worker instead of investing to make sure they stay around, okay? A worker's average salary, and we just threw these numbers in, $72,000. If that worker leaves, you see the total turnover cost. A good $10,000 more just because that worker leaves. Okay. The impact, higher caseloads, as we've already seen. Cases are not going away, all right? And cases are getting much more intense. I remember the days when I first began to work for the state and began to work in the field with county staff, all right? They would say, please just give me a dirty house case, please. Now there is so much when it comes to domestic violence, substance use, the mental health issues that we're struggling with. Cases are much more intense. So when you've got those higher caseloads, workers can't give the time that they need to make sure it happens. All right? It also means cases are open longer. We have standards for North Carolina. We say that assessment case, no more than 45 days, you should be able to make a case decision. There are some extenuating factors that can filter into that, all right? But more than 45 days, that's really not fair to a family, all right? Why do I need to be involved longer than I need to, all right? And finding some finality for them, all right? Children, again, are at greater risk. You have lower permanency rates. Again, children don't get home sooner. Greater instability, longer stays in foster care, reunification, failure to meet mandates. And here's the last two, and these are the ones that hit the media, right? Fatalities on open cases, right? Those cases that have lingered past 45 days sometimes make the back burner, right? Something happens to a child in that family, and that can lead to lawsuits. Not a place that we want to be, okay? So what do we do? Just some things I shared with your board, all right? Certainly, increasing salaries is a big piece of that because we know workers stay for lots of reasons and money is one of them, but also they stay for a positive climate, right? They stay because they feel valued, supported by their supervisors. Again, not many supervisors of late, all right? They stay because they feel like they're prepared to be confident, right? they're given the necessary tools to do the work that they need to do, right? They're compensated fairly and there's flexibility in their work. I mean, I can say as a social worker, most of my days started around 9 o'clock, went to about 7 or 8 o'clock, just because of the needs of families, right? It's not fair for us to tell a family that we're working with, you can only work with me from 8 to 5. Not going to happen if I'm going to be effective, all right? Manageable caseloads, and they want to believe this, then this one typically is number one when you look at surveys. They want to believe they're making a difference. They want to be able to see at the end of the day, and how tough is that simply because they've got more children to have to work with than they really should based on those standards. And they want to know that they've got opportunities for growth. I started as a frontline staff. I did that work for, many years, became a supervisor, and now I get to do this work also working with the state. All right. They want to see and be a part of those opportunities. Okay. I'm not going to read all these strategies to you. I shared these with Mr. Brummett and the rest of the board that were there that day and Ms. Perry. But I just encourage as much as you can, what are the strategies and this is a big piece. One of the things I really encourage, focus on retention. Once folks are here and you do that, what are you doing to keep them? Right? I'll never forget when I first started working in the county many years ago, every 6 months, our director would pull me into his office and say, why do you stay? Why do you stay? Are you thinking about leaving? Why are you thinking about leaving? And don't just ask them, but then do something about it. Right? That's a significant strategy when it comes to retention. And I can promise you, when we've seen agencies focus on retention, when they get good staff in, when they focus on retention, turnover doesn't become an issue at that point. Okay. Some other things you can do, we talked about, you can show off your county, like what's good. It's amazing tonight to listen to the passion of your citizens here. A lot of people are proud of Vance County. The people outside of Vance County know that, right? Are you promoting Vance County in that positive way? It makes people want to come, right? And don't just settle. Please don't just settle for warm bodies. Broaden the net. University partnerships. We are not reinventing, but we're reinstating what we call our Child Welfare Education Collaborative. Are the universities around that have students that need internships that are doing social work in their degrees, that you can provide them opportunities to do internships here, all right? Talk about what you offer and just a clear job description, okay? These are the things that reduced turnover means, and I like the last one the best, all right? Effective practice plus effective workforce equals positive outcomes for families and children in Vance County. Okay. Questions, comments? And I'm also going to introduce my boss if she wants to come up. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know whether she'd be willing to, but Judge Burnett is here. And she's worked from the perspective of being parent representation. She's been the attorney for social services, and now she is a judge. So she's worked at all levels. So I would, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's any recommendations that you may have, that you see when you are handling these type of cases.
I know. We met. I do.
Then they've got some new things that are being implemented, I think, May the 12th.
Yes.
So, yeah, I definitely have a good relationship with Peter.
Yeah.
We have some great people from Vance County who work at the state.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess what I was requesting is, you've spoken to him, but in terms of what we can do, if you have any suggestions about as a.
Yes, she does. Trust me, she does. She does.
Okay. So we do have work sessions every month. So if you would like to address us so that we will know, because you have certain suggestions, but every county is different.
Sure, absolutely.
So if there's anything that we as a board may do to help alleviate the problems, because it comes back to us in terms of trying to help fill these jobs.
Yes.
And, we advertise, but we're not getting the amount of people applying and getting hired that we would like to see.
Right.
So if there's something that we as a board can do or should be doing that sort of help facilitate getting workers in place so that the burden won't be on the workers. I spoke to a worker in court and I asked her, what can you do? How everything was going. And I asked her about trainings and all that. She said, I can't afford to go to training because my workload is so, it's such an overload that whenever the time I would go to out of town to a training, basically, she can't do it because she's working a double load. And so I even asked her about, she is a very good caseworker. I asked her about a promotion. Most people want a promotion. She said no, because her husband would be mad at her, if she would try to do that. So, we do realize that there is a shortage and people come and people go. Then people are trying to catch up on other people's workload. It delays the process when you have a new search worker who comes in at the middle or at the end of a case, and they got to play catch up. And so, there are a lot of issues that need to be addressed in terms of making sure that the staffing and everything is accomplished. So if there's something that we're supposed to do to get, these positions filled or we can do, then we would just like that information.
I'd encourage just two things to respond is the retention piece is key. And again, the money helps, right? Having a good salary, not exorbitant, but like a good salary for this area. What is the cost of living here for a caseworker? Okay. But also what else is good in Vance County, right? Why would someone want to come, right? And then, what else within the agency? Then that's where the retention pieces come in. What is done there in the agency to support, to encourage their growth. Right? I hear what they say about training. That is an issue. All right. We want our social workers to have ongoing training on a regular basis. Once they finish that basic, that has to be done. We want them to have that ongoing training. But we hear that, that at times because caseloads are so high and workforce is so low, it's difficult to get away and they feel bad when they get away to do so. So I would just really work on that retention, right, and the recruitment piece. We did a campaign a little over a year ago, and we've created some materials. They're regionally based, but we also have some graphic images we can give you where you can make it Vance County specific kind of thing. So we're glad to support any work that you do like that.
I think, Ms. Feemster, one of the things that's on the agenda tonight is raising the pay to a standard rate. I think it was what, 57,000, 67.
Okay.
Yes. So, and I think that's a big thing. And again, as Peter says, I think that's going to, somebody could leave here today and go to Durham. Somebody could leave here today and go to Durham County and make $30,000 more than what they're making as a social worker, as a on the ground social worker. You can go to Edgecombe County and make $15,000 and have a lower caseload. So I think being competitive on that base rate is going to get some people to come into the county. And then, of course, the retention piece is huge. And I think that the retention piece is directly related to the administration of the department. I will tell you, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but when we were here, we were down to 30 kids in foster care. But I can promise you, Meredith Houchins and Myrna Gerage were at every street fair that was going on in Henderson, North Carolina. And there's lots of people in this community who would say, I know Frankie knows that. But it was that retention piece. It was a group of people who really were passionate, and you have to love children and love social work to stay. There's huge burnout. And so I think to get people in, that piece is going to be really big. And I will say, as much as I come up here and complain about my taxes, for me to be able to do that, I would be happy for my taxes to be able to go to get social workers to protect the children in this county. Very happy to do that. So, and I don't think anybody else would complain about that. So I think that's a huge piece.
Thank you. And the other thing I would offer, Ms. Vice Chair, is that when you get solid retention practices in place, that helps with recruitment.
So you currently are in the CSS department, right? Collecting data and bringing it.
Yes, ma'am.
So what you're saying to us is that the main issues that at social service is that we need to focus on retention and market to county. That's the two main issues.
I think the primary issue right now is that you're very low staffed. And so what can you do to get the right folks in? And then you begin to focus on retention of those folks, right? And that will help with your recruitment.
Okay.
Right? So I would say, and that's why I titled this the crisis. That's your crisis right now, is not enough staff, getting the right folks there, then working to retain them.
So I saw like we budget for 4 people. And you showed us that the caseloads are continuing to go up.
Right.
So my question is, are we budgeting for enough people? If the caseload continue to increase, we got a budget of 4 people. I'm just throwing it out there because I saw that. But then we're down to 2. I know there's a need. So are we still budgeting enough? Are there enough people in that position to carry on our caseload? That's what.
Sure. Yeah, I can give you an example. Just, we can talk at one of them here. Let me go back to assessments to give you an idea. Right?
Yeah.
So that number at the bottom is a number that when each county turns in their number of staff that they have, I keep track of the number of cases that they have, right? So I take that number and I say, these are the actual budgeted FTE. These are the bodies that you need, right?
Okay.
One of the things I've seen other counties do, and I think it's a good thing, is to proactively budget, right? So I may say right here, budget 1 to 10, but they need the staffing ratio is 1 to 10. If you can budget 1 to 8, you're likely to be okay. And that's typically what we see with these numbers, right? And so just being proactive like that as you think into the future. And Madam Chairman, anytime you want numbers, just ask Ms. Perry. I'm glad to give you staffing numbers, case numbers, anything like that that we can do. And Ms. Weaver, I know, also has access to the same stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one other question. When in speaking to this particular social worker, she stated she couldn't go to conferences because her workload is too heavy. And then we've had other people complain who work at social services. They complain that they don't have, the people who are over them or their coworkers, whatever, don't train them the way they need to be trained. So I asked her the question, well, would you be willing to stay, say, an hour or 2 after work, since you can't go away and train? And she said she would.
Okay.
So whereas she don't want to leave to go anywhere, and therefore she's while she's trying to work double, and she stated some of the other workers don't have sufficient amount of time to really train.
Sure.
Because they're juggling 2 jobs plus trying to train somebody.
Right.
Then so sometimes there's a shortfall. So I'm wondering, in terms of DHHS, coming from Raleigh, maybe, and doing any training sessions, maybe an hour or so. Some people wouldn't want to be there a long period of time, but some people don't mind if they get off at 5, maybe stay into 6 to get some additional training. So I was just wondering about the availability of that.
So there's 2 answers to that. First of all, we have what we call state mandated training. So every social worker, when they come on board, has to complete a number of hours of training before they can work face-to-face with a family. And we provide that. Then also with each of the disciplines that you see, like assessments, we also offer an assessments training, right? Those have to be conducted by the state because we're the ones statutorily mandated to provide that, right? And so we have to do those in various locations. We do them all across the state, and we do our best with our resources to offer as many of them as we can, okay? Now, the field staff that we have that work locally with the county, Okay, we can't replace that training. Like they can't, those field staff can't come in here and train that and the social workers will be certified or ready to do it. But if there is a specific need around a specific part of casework, for example, you know, one of the things that a caseworker has to do, especially in foster care and home, is they prepare a case plan. They work with the family, like, what's the problem? What are you going to do about it? All right. What are some strategies to fix it? Okay. That's a process. And even though we train that in our foster care and our in-home training, sometimes just sitting down, you're right, locally with somebody that says, okay, so kind of walk me through this, give me a case scenario and let's kind of play with this and make it work. Our field staff are always willing to do things like that. And that's something that your director has reached out to us about regularly. You know, these are some things that our staff could use. Again, I can't replace that mandated training, right? But I can come in and supplement that. I can offer some help with it. And that's what our field staff is responsible to help do. And if we don't have the subject matter experts, we'll find somebody that will. Okay.
Thank you.
Like, I know we've had the state being there has been a great benefit. Prior to our new administration here, there were a number of deficiencies that existed. And those have now been identified and we're in the process of correcting and I think moving in the positive direction. And so it's a matter now of resolving some of the older cases and then maintaining, like you're talking about, the training and so forth as we onboard new people. So I think I appreciate you guys being here and what you've been doing. I know you've been a tremendous help to us.
We're glad to. Good. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. The last meeting we had, the Board of Equalization, we left it open. So, Nathan and Elaine Person, 1530 South Chavis Road, partial 0488020002. Nathan and Elaine Person. Shirley Julian, 104 Bowman Lane.
Good evening.
Good
My name
evening.
is Shirley Julian, 104 Bowman Lane. This was continued to see if the tax assessors could go back and just to be fair with the other homes, that mine is smaller than even my neighbors, but I'm paying the most. Guess we'd have to ask them if they went back out and measured.
Listen,
It's Monday.
Ma'am, can you use that microphone a little bit? I'm sorry, I'm here.
That's okay.
Thank
Please.
Okay, so we did look at the three comparables that Ms. Julian had provided to us. And we found that the three parcels in question were actually smaller than hers. So we really didn't do it. We couldn't do anything about the value based on that. So our appraiser did go out and visit the other three properties for the comparables that she provided. And they were actually smaller than hers.
It would be great if we had some information to look at also. So if you could provide that to us so that we could make a proper evaluation.
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Don't quite agree because my neighbor has the same size land as I do, so.
does she have that now or going forward?
Are you asking? to
Are you
continue?
asking, yeah, are you asking?
Ask for continuance until we've got something to look at.
Oh, okay, so,
So can we do?
Yeah.
Can we make a motion to that effect or can we now?
Can we make a motion to continue it until
Yes.
we've been provided information that
Absolutely.
we can actually see?
Okay.
Thank you.
But can I ask a question and everything? You've already sent somebody out and you've already done it, right?
Yes.
So what's that gonna prove?
Yes, I mean, where's the supporting data?
Yeah, the support, we have it here, but we don't have enough copies to,
We can make copies.
I can make copies
you-
and yeah, that's not a
Do
problem.
you all want us to go make copies real quick?
Or-
Instead of,
Does she have the information?
She has the
I have
information.
the
She just doesn't
information,
have
but I
the.
don't have any copies. I mean, I'd have to go, I can go upstairs and make copies for you if you want them.
Can we do that? That's up to you all.
Or it's up to you.
We're gonna have to evaluate other cases. I think I saw a list that was
It
this
is.
long,
It's several.
and so we
It's up to y'all.
can do that at a later time.
I can do that. That's fine.
But
Yeah.
just, I think in the future, it'd be great for us to have information.
Yes.
that we can put our eyes on.
Okay.
Yeah, you all.
Thank you.
You all adjourn tonight, right? But you can still, yeah, you adjourn tonight, but you still hear cases through.
Your
What was the
cases.
date?
Hers
Mhm.
to the, with the rest?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
You have
Yes.
much to say.
Yes.
I have a question for, our tax representative. In terms of number one, was there an agreement reached on that one or?
We haven't heard back from them, but we were able to, let's see, for hers, I know there were some issues about the building. It's the buildings. So I think for that one, the value of the buildings was $71,828. And then when we revisited the property, we saw they were dilapidated, so we reduced the value. And now the improvements are down to 9,000, excuse me, $9,614. So we haven't heard from her, but we did go out and
That one also had a church on the property. or
yes,
something?
yes. There was a church on that property, but the church is exempt. Well, I think the only issue with the church was that it was still part of their parcel because we didn't have a deed or a plat to show that it was actually sold or separated from the original, I think they had 20.8 acres. So I asked them to bring, because they bought me an original deed and I didn't feel comfortable taking their deed. So I asked for a copy. I haven't heard anything. But once I get that deed, I can separate, based on the information that's in that deed, I can separate that parcel out and create a parcel for the church only.
Have you communicated that to them?
Yes,
And,
I haven't heard from them.
but you spoke with them or
Yeah.
mailed a
Yeah.
letter?
We talked to them that night and I haven't heard from them since that night. So I'm still waiting to hear back from them for that deed. At least the book and page of the deed. We couldn't find it.
Let's, we've got a motion to let these things continue.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we got a
Yeah.
motion?
Didn't we address the one,
Or
Wait a
continue,
minute.
yes.
didn't we address the one with the church last year during the
Mhm.
Board of ENR?
Yeah, the church itself the question about the church was that it was never picked up by Vance County until our reval,
So why is it still being shown as listed in the tax card?
because it still has a value. So even if it's exempt, but we have to still have the value on it. So the value will still show, it won't show zero. It'll show the actual assessed value, even if it's exempt.
And did it not get worked out last year?
It got worked out, but the problem is that we can't separate it from the parent parcel because we don't have a plat or a deed separating it. Now, they said, and we wanted to separate some land out, but we didn't know how much land they sold from the church. We didn't know how much land it was, so we didn't know how much to take out. And
Okay, but
that's what we were waiting on.
I guess what I'm confused about is I thought we did this very thing last year. Why wasn't all this resolved last year?
We were still waiting for a plat or a deed.
Are we leaving both of these open?
Yeah.
So
I add the first one to it also.
Go ahead.
Continue.
You amended? Second. Okay, you have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
thank you.
I'm gonna close the board of equalization. And I'm gonna open the water district board.
Madam Chair, before we move on, we need to make a finding that the Board of ENR needs until July 1 to finish its business. The statute requires us to wrap up our business by the third Monday after we open, unless we find that we need more time. And so because we're not finished, we need to find that we need more time to conduct the cases, and we have to have them done by July 1 this year. We don't get to December.
Yeah,
So we have to have some work sessions.
Yeah, so I don't, we had 180, now we're up to 182 because a couple of more people came into the tax office to drop off appeals. So, but so far out of the 182 appeals, we so far have worked 96. So
You'll work 96 out
we
of
have
the
worked
100.
96 out of
Okay.
108, yes. So we don't anticipate, and the majority of these will not come to the board.
Okay,
We just want to protect the citizens' right to appeal.
okay.
One thing I'd asked for last year when we were doing the appeals was a number of appeals that were adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
And so that we could have that number based on relative to the number of appeals, how many were adjusted.
Yep, we can do
get
that again.
Information.
Yes, we can do that again.
Okay, I never saw it.
Yeah, I have it, but I don't have it with me.
Okay. that's
Yeah,
fine.
actually,
You
we
can
will,
just-
you guys as the board and ENR will need that information because it is that adjustment that this board approves when it finally wraps up.
Right. So I think we were finally going by what we were doing during reval as far as informing you of how many appeals we had, how many were done. So we're going to go back, we're reverting back to that. So we're going to keep everybody informed about how many were worked and how many are done, et cetera.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So we have about, ma'am.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Okay, so we have about 91 appeals. You said there was about.
We had, yeah. Well, originally when we had it, we had 180. We now have 182 because some people walked in today.
You said you had resolved some, so.
96.
To 91 now.
96. We worked 96 of them.
When you say work them, does that mean the people that
Satisfied.
have agreed?
We have sent them letters to let them know that we have worked them. So we're waiting for a response from them. Yeah.
I guess, I'm trying to figure out about how many work sessions do you think how many sessions of a board, separate board of ENR, rather than trying to put them on these days, that we would need to set, to have them done by July 1st.
July 1st.
July
July
1st.
1st. So what's your best estimate of meetings that we may need to schedule just to have planned in the event?
I would be surprised if we went beyond July 1, actually. I really don't think we're going to go beyond there.
Okay, but as far as a date, like, do we need to, I guess, think about three meetings, or I'm just,
Probably the maximum will be 3. I don't
Okay.
anticipate a lot of these going before the board.
okay.
Okay. So we need to set that at a later, or you want to do it?
I'll
later?
work on it.
I'll work on
I'll get some
okay.
dates proposed to y'all.
All right.
What's the date that we're gonna have the budget?
I'm gonna ask y'all tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm
what's
going
the
work
date?
sessions for,
What's the latest date that we need to?
oh, June 30.
June 30th.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna have a lot of dates that we're gonna have to be looking over this budget, plus trying to do these ENR. So I'm just trying to figure out time wise.
We don't have until the end of the year to adjudicate these? No, sir.
July 1st.
You only get that during revaluation.
Mhm.
The board
Board of ENR meetings as well. Make,
And we can't do
the
it
substation,
station,
the jail, and other issues. So I'm just trying to, because I got to budget my time to make sure that I can attend the meetings. So that's why I was trying to get an estimate of what you think.
She's,
Because when we did before, so 90 in 3 sessions is a lot, but you think some of the others will be resolved before we get to that point?
Yes. Just in looking at the list, I don't anticipate a lot of them going before the board.
And
okay.
our county manager's going to send out the dates. that-
We'll get some dates on the calendar.
Okay, and they won't be there for.
So Madam Chair, if we could get a motion to adopt that the board feels that we need additional time to continue to hear the matters before it until July 1 at the latest.
Make a motion that we increase the time to past July.
To July.
To July 1st.
Beyond the 3 Mondays to July 1.
Thank
you. Got a motion and a second in discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. Now we move into the open Board of District Board. 210 Phase 1B sign-ups contracts.
During the March 21st work session, the board was informed about me receiving several calls from the residents who have signed up for water for Phase 1B in 2010. and they were stating that they no longer wanted the county water. The county attorney recommended that the county ask for a written request for the residents stating that they no longer desire the water tap and would like to receive a refund of their deposit. The board at that time was in favor of this recommendation. Tonight, we are looking for approval or deny for us to be able to move forward with refunding 125 signups.
Madam Chair, I'll move that we approve the refund of the 125 deposit for those residents in Phase 1B that signed up for water in 2010.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
And one other piece of information that I just received an email about, that's good news. Part of our Phase 1B, 13,800 linear feet was certified today of 6-inch water line. So we're in the process. And that was South Chavis and Woodruff.
South Chavis and Woodley.
Mhm. So do you do a monthly operation?
I've got a question just in follow-up to the last month. We had that $1.5 million thing in there, and this month it's not on there. Where did it go?
So the money that was receipted in was from the USDA loan, the $1.2 million. What do you, I mean, I know we've been spending them. You want to?
Yeah, it was a USDA loan that we received for $1,672,000. So it was originally receipted in the miscellaneous revenue. But since then, we have set up another account because it's not revenue. So we have taken it out of miscellaneous revenue and placed it where it's supposed to be. So you won't see it here anymore. You won't see it there.
Okay.
But
that money's still in the water fund?
yes, and I think today we got an email from Hillary that we've gotten approval to move some of it for some of the applications that we have paid.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess going forward, when you do your quarterly report, then that will be an item that we'll see that budget item in that report.
We can add it.
Funds, disbursements and so forth.
Yeah, we could do that.
We can add it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Is that the one?
Now, that training we did with the LGC, it asked for monthly finance reports
From
from the
to-
finance director.
She does. She has to send it because we're on unit assistance list.
Right.
Yeah, so she's been sending that to the state. She's been sending it to the LGC.
The board is supposed to see it monthly.
Is that a part of the UAL?
But when I was.
Okay, we'll clarify that. And if that's the case, that's not a problem.
Apparently we're doing it
So
quarterly.
quarterly.
So-
And we just started quarterly up under my administration because you all weren't receiving any reports.
Right.
So the LGC states that we should do it monthly. We'll check
I believe that's what it
because
said.
that was not a requirement that they told us that we need to do, but that's not a problem if we need to do so moving forward
Okay.
because we're on UAL. That's fine.
Like I said, we did
Yeah.
the training and that was in.
Okay. Yeah, we'll verify. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Close the Water District Board, work session report.
Yes, okay. So, work session report and recommendations on May 5th, 2025. So the communications tower, Hassan Kingsbury, City of Henderson Manager, and Taylor Sproul, Assistant City Manager, discussed a proposed emergency communications tower located at the city's North Henderson Ball Fields Park and the request for cost sharing. It was also discussed that Duke Energy may co-locate and cover direct expenses above the grant as well as an inquiry out to Verizon. For fiscal year 24, Congressman Don Davis's community project funding awarded $2.1 million based upon a project estimate of $2.9 million, which included 10% contingency, with the city contributing the necessary land and access easement. The award is therefore 75% of the estimated direct cost. There was discussion on using the current 911 agreement, which is 50% city and 50% county, to cover the shortfall. City and county staff will begin to work on an agreement and bring back to the Board of County Commissioners for consideration at a later date. There was also discussion on the current rental property for the current tower. The general discussion was to continue to have staff to research the purchase of that property. I'm sorry. Anybody have any questions on that? No? Okay. So Williams Montgomery Park, Kendrick Vance, City of Henderson Recreation and Parks Director, discussed a part of grant that was awarded to the Joint City and County Recreation Department to complete a project at Williams Montgomery Park. The grant was awarded in 2022, but due to COVID, the project has been put on hold until now. The total project cost is $1.8 million with a shortfall or match of $1.1 million. The city and the county joint agreement is split 55% city and 45% county for operations and capital projects. The city is seeking the 45% shortfall on an estimated $495,000 from the county. The board gave staff direction to check our financial health to determine if it's feasible. Currently, I have not included the shortfall in the fiscal year 26 budget and recommend a fund balance appropriation if the board desires to do so. Staff would like to discuss further during your budget work sessions. Okay, any questions on that? No? Okay, so during your work session, we discussed properties. So EMS main land options, staff is seeking direction on EMS main land options and would like to continue the discussions in closed session tonight. Chair Faines expressed the need to continue to have discussions and keep this matter in front of the board. The sale of the old ACOG gym, staff discussed an inquiry about the sale of the old ACOG gym. The board discussed and does not desire to sell the facility. It is highly used by Recreation and Parks. And up under the Water Committee, the $30 fee, the Board of County Commissioners discussed several requests to waive the $30 fee for customers that pay the monthly fee but don't have county water. No action was taken to waive the fees due to contractual agreements with the customers. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Now we have the Finance Director report, audits and contract for year 25-26.
Okay. So Thompson, Price, Scott, and Adams has presented a contract to continue as the auditors for the county for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. The fee for the audit will be $61,500. As approved by the Board of Commissioners early in the year, we will send out an RFP for audit services for fiscal year 25-26. So the recommendation is to approve the contract with Thompson, Price, Scott, Adams to perform the annual financial audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025.
How much was our audit last year?
58,000.
It was 58.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's.
Motion to approve. Second.
On a motion, a second, in discussion.
Yes. There's an additional form we have to fill out this year. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. Stephanie has a contract. I'll have to defer to her.
Yeah, I have the contract.
I'm not sure.
From the LGC that we have to do because.
Well, yeah,
UAL?
because we were on the UAL list. Yes.
Correct. That's additional. Correct.
No, that's just something, then there's a financial statement part. That's an additional. But that is those forms that I have to write up all of the findings and in response to the findings, and that is uploaded.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Assistant County Manager report.
EMS Proclamation Week. National EMS Week is an annual event to highlight the dedication of our EMS personnel and promote awareness of their critical role of EMS in public health. The week is a time to recognize the vital work of EMS professionals and to raise awareness about the role of EMS in the community. The recommendation is to approve the proclamation recognizing May the 18th to the 24th, 2025 as EMS Week in Vance County.
Move for approval of proclamation.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. County manager report.
Okay, so the first thing on my report is the fireworks permit for tourism. Vance County Tourism is requesting approval of a fireworks permit for its annual Independence Day celebration at Carr Lake. According to Tourism Director Pam Hester, the work will be contracted with a professional pyrotechnics firm, which has the appropriate credentials and insurance coverage. The recommendation is to approve the request from tourism for a permit to discharge fireworks at its annual Independence Day celebration at Carr Lake on Saturday, July 5th, 2025, contingent upon the necessary approvals from the fire marshal.
Move for approval of the fireworks.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, so ambulance franchise application, Midwest Medical Transport, North State Medical Transport. The board gave the first of two required approvals for Midwest Medical Transport's ambulance franchise during its April meeting. A second approval is necessary in accordance with North Carolina General Statutes. Midwest application was submitted. The application that was submitted by Midwest Medical Transport appears to meet all requirements of the county's ambulance franchise ordinance. The recommendation is to approve and grant ambulance franchise agreement allowing Midwest Medical Transport, DBA North State Medical Transport Incorporated to provide ALS and BLS service in Vance County in accordance with the county's ambulance franchise ordinance. Further, to transfer the existing franchise agreement with North State Medical Transport to Midwest Medical Transport. So many words.
Move for approval as spoken.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Is it the same company that's changed the name?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear.
It was bought out.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, the next item on my report is the Grow Nutritional Program. So at your March 2025 work session, the Board of County Commissioners expressed concerns with the request from Grow to partner with the county to provide nutritional meals to those households that are not currently served that may be in need. Since there were concerns from the Board of County Commissioners and ultimately Grow can accomplish this without county partnership, I recommend Grow moving forward without a partnership and or relationship with the county at this time. If this board thinks otherwise, I will follow your lead. Otherwise, FYI, no action needed. Okay. So next on my report is the lease extension for Legacy Human Services Incorporated. Legacy Human Services Incorporated, formerly known as Alliance Rehabilitative Care Incorporated, leases the county's facility for the Addiction Recovery Center for Men at 1020 County Home Road. The use of the facility in its current form has existed since 1975. The current lease expires on June 30, 2025, and Legacy is requesting a 5-year renewal at $1 per year. So the recommendation is to approve extension of the lease agreement with Legacy Human Services Incorporated for the use of the property located at 1020 County Home Road from July 1st, 2025 until June 30, 2030 at a rate of $1 per year with an option to renew for an additional 5 years at the same rate.
Board, can I make that motion or should I not?
No, I'm not sure a no motion is needed. This is an existing lease that has an existing right to renew. And so they gave us renewal. So this is more just notice to the board that they have exercised or previously won. I just wanted to make sure we clarified that, and it's not, because otherwise we've been required to publish and go through that process that we went through last time and published. So it's just really notice to the board that they have exercised in accordance with the current lease.
So just FYI.
Okay, that's on County Home Road. We own property located at this address, ARC. And we also own some property that used to be occupied by Henderson Collegiate, as well as property that was formerly occupied by Gang Free. So, do we have any kind of clause within, this lease that in the event the county ever needed that property, you know, for some kind of, county project that we can exercise our, any kind of option upon proper notification that we need to get that property for that purpose?
My recollection is it is not in there. I remember discussing that with the county manager at the time, and that was not something that was, because of everything else that was going on out there. But I'd have to pull the lease to see if we do have the ability to terminate early. I don't remember that right offhand.
Cause I would hate to be locked in any event that some kind of project went that would, could be utilized, but it take up that whole space.
But
Cause we do own the majority of property along that line.
we do. There's a lot of bottom land in there. But we do own that whole section. But I mean, as we are right now, we are locked in pursuant to the lease. Does that lease give us the right to terminate early? I'd have to pull it back up and see. I forget where that conversation ended up.
We can pull it and get that information back to you all. Okay. So the next item is another FYI. So a veteran services grant. Our county veterans office has been awarded $18,000 from the North Carolina Veterans Office. The award is made possible by non-recurring funding by the North Carolina General Assembly. Funds must be for allowable costs which provide services to our veterans. The period of performance for all expenditures is going to be March 3rd, 2025 through July 31st of 2025. And we were just notified on, I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, award of this grant. There, of course, is no county match, and there is a reimbursement process that we will follow per the North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs grant program requirements. And there's no action taken. It's just FYI. Okay, so F on my report is the rezoning case, ZMA 25-001, which is off of North Carolina 39 Highway South, PN 0552-01007. The Board of County Commissioners tabled the March 10th, 2025 rezoning matter to the Planning and Environmental Committee. Since the March 10th, 2025 regular meeting, the Board of County Commissioners have discussed in a work session, and the recommendation is as follows. Deny rezoning request and include the following statement. Pursuant to General Statute 160D-605, the Board of County Commissioners, having completed its review of the zoning map amendment recommended by the Planning Board, finds that the proposal is not consistent with the provisions of the 1996 Vance County Land Use Plan, and that the proposal is not reasonable and in the public interest and would permit denser development in an agricultural area.
I make a motion that we deny the rezoning request based on what was stated.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, so item G on my report is just a follow-up from Peter West and his presentation from Department of Health and Human Services. So they spoke about salary increases. So minimum salary increase for social worker positions. So on behalf of the Social Services Director, I am seeking consideration for an increase in the minimum salary for the entire social worker class, including both frontline workers and supervisors. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services has expressed serious concern regarding the welfare of children in our county, which is being significantly impacted by ongoing staff vacancies across all levels of the social work team. Competitive compensation is critical to recruiting and retaining qualified professionals to ensure that essential services and protections for vulnerable children are not compromised. We are proposing a 1-grade increase per the recommendations from the pay study. Comparative minimum salary data is listed for you all to review. But if this board wants to exceed those minimum salaries recommended from the study and increase the social work class by 2 grades, it would take the new minimum salary for the social worker IATs, which are the positions that need to be filled, to $57,654. And this, of course, would have an additional impact with the fiscal year 26 budget.
What is that impact?
So I didn't get those numbers because I didn't know if you all were gonna go with one or two, but
What
I
is the impact of the first change?
I don't have the numbers with me. It's in my proposed budget. It's in the proposed budget with a 1 grade increase. I should have pulled it, but I did not. And of course, I would also say in the future, I would recommend that this board consider more flexibility in work schedules. Other counties offer telework options, and historically, that has not been an option here. I know Sandy's working on the telework policy. That's what she stated to me. But you can literally go to Durham, Wake, and Nash, and they all offer telework options for these very same positions. I don't know the exact impact of just the social work class, Dan. I did not pull that. The impact is across all of the positions in social services.
What's to be competitive with Granville County? I noticed theirs is 56. What grade is that? What would that? What,
I don't know what grade it is. It's just the minimum is
I mean, if
56.
we went to that, what would happen?
That'd be the grade two.
So it would.
Two you talking about?
So the 2 grade would take us to
That's-
57. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do 56 because the grades are like 4 or
Couldn't do
5% in
56. I was
between.
thinking
Yeah,
of being
we
competitive
would have to
with
move to 55, 172 or 57, 654 according to our salary schedule.
So you're proposing that at 55?
My recommendation is 55, 172. I mean, but if we want to be more competitive with other counties that offer more, the minimum would be 57, 654. And my recommendation is 55, 172 because it's going to have an impact on the entire social work class. You can't just move one position up. You have to move the entire grade up, the entire class up. So it's not just one position.
We can do this now, and if we decide during budget time that we want to do it, we can move it at that. Once we find the financial effect of it,
We can.
we can do that.
So you just want to do one effective immediately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, do 1 grade effective today. Okay, that's fine. And I've had our Greta advertise all of the social worker positions from the minimum to the maximum. Historically, we've done minimum to midpoint. And so that way, if we get experienced workers, we're able to bring them in much higher than what the minimum rate is. Okay, so 1 grade right now. Okay.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay. And so the last item on my report tonight is a presentation of the fiscal year 25-26 recommended budget. So I'll provide a brief overview of the budget and ask that you consider setting work sessions to review the budget in detail. The public hearing on the budget will be set for the evening of June 2nd, which is the date of your regular meeting. So I'm not going to read my entire message, but I am going to summarize it. It'll take a little bit, but so Chairperson Faines, members of the board, and citizens of Vance County, as county manager, I respectfully present the proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget for your review and consideration. This balanced budget is compliant with all state statutes and reflects our collective efforts to stabilize, strengthen, and strategically move Vance County forward. The proposed general fund budget totals $64.3 million, which is a 5.74 increase from last year. This increase is largely driven by long overdue funding adjustments, including implementation of a compensation study, escalating operating costs, and strategic investments in our future, particularly in public safety, education, and infrastructure. Key budget challenges and approach. This was the first budget fully developed by staff, requiring careful review of each line item. We confronted head-on the long-term impacts of prior under budgeting, repeated audit findings, and our inclusion on the LGC's unit assistance list. Our approach this year focused on aligning budget estimates with historical trends to reduce the need for amendments, enhance transparency, and ensure long-term financial health. Tax rates and revenue. The property tax rate remains unchanged at 70.7129 cents per $100, and the fire tax rate holds steady at 5.94 cents. Though property tax is our largest revenue source, sales tax revenue continues to play a key role, projected at $12.8 million, just below last year's actuals. The budget uses a conservative revenue approach given the current economic climate. Investing in county employees. One of the biggest priorities in this budget is compensation. We have included $1.1 million. We have included $1.1 million to implement a pay study, a critical move to improve recruitment and retention. Over the last 3 years, we've averaged more than 50 vacancies, especially in public safety and in human services or social services. To remain competitive, we've benchmarked salaries against neighboring counties and established a $15 per hour minimum wage for all county staff. Employees not receiving a market adjustment will receive a 2% COLA, 2% cost of living adjustment. Education and community health. We are increasing our support for education and community health. $585,000 in additional operating funding for Vance County Schools, plus $850,000 in capital outlay for technology and for maintenance. $122,324 in additional funding for Vance Granville Community College, reflecting our commitment to workforce development and education. A $50,000 increase for the Granville Vance Health Department to support rising costs and to modernize their medical system. It's also important to note that 30% of the local education funds are redirected to charter schools under current regulations. Major expense drivers. Key areas seeing increased investment include EMS, which is 1 new ambulance, 1 remount, 6 portable radios, and proper funding for overtime. Jail operations, correcting historical under budgeting in health, food, and contracted services. Required increases in retirement contributions, economic development incentive payments, which have never been properly budgeted, and also health insurance premiums, which was a $1.2 million increase in health insurance this year. Capital outlay. The budget funds $1.9 million in capital projects, including $850,000 for Vance County Schools, $703,000 for ambulances and the ambulance remount, $75,000 for a new van for a cooperative extension, $60,000 to modernize the county's website. There is no new debt, and all projects are funded through existing revenue sources. Our enterprise and special revenue funds. The water fund, the budget remains flat at $1.2 million with consideration after. We'll do more review for expenditures and revenues once the actual phase 1B is completed. Water rates remain unchanged, but I did get an email from Hassan Kingsbury about possible increases to our water rate. So I won't know until after next week. And that's for us to purchase water from the city of Henderson. The solid waste fund, the budget is $3.08 million. Household fees will increase from $125 to $135 to offset the rising costs. There is a transfer of $198,703 from the general fund to clear the negative fund balance in our solid waste fund. And that balance has not been in the positive since June of 2022, the solid waste fund. The fire tax fund, the budget is $2.08 million with no recommended tax increase. Fire departments will receive $140,000 each, a step up from current levels with future increases recommended. Looking ahead, capital reserve recommendations. To promote long-term planning and reduce future debt burdens, I recommend establishing 2 capital reserve funds. For the new detention center, we should establish a capital reserve fund beginning July 1st, 2025 to support construction. So the second would be the Vance Granville Community College Capital Reserve to address aging infrastructure and program expansion. These reserves will demonstrate our fiscal responsibility and commitment to public safety and workforce development. Conclusion, this budget is more than balanced, it's strategic. It reflects our goals of transparency, accountability, and long-term progress. We are taking deliberate steps to correct financial practices of the past while making targeted investments in the people, infrastructure, and services that shape Vance County's future. I extend my sincere thanks to the Board of County Commissioners, our department heads, and the staff for their hard work and collaboration throughout this process. And I look forward to continued progress as we work together for the benefit of all Vance County residents. Yes, ma'am.
Is this gonna be, is this gonna be posted online?
Oh, yeah, tomorrow. Yes, ma'am.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, and there'll be paper copies in the office. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Wanted to let the public.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, I can make that, yeah. So the proposed budget will be on our website tomorrow. What do you think, by noon, Kelly? Because I know you, okay, by noon tomorrow, it'll be posted on our website. But I do want to schedule some budget work sessions with you all. So do we want to start next week? Oh, you have a question? I'm sorry.
How much is a penny in this budget?
It is $443,000. Last year it was 432, and this year I believe it went up to 443, just with natural growth, 443.
What about fire?
Let me get that back to you tonight. It's not too much more than what I have. I can pull my, hold on for a second. I might can get it real quick. Hold on for a second, Dan. I was gonna look at my budget message from last year. I think it was in there.
You have any proposed dates?
It's up to y'all. I can work whatever y'all want me to do. Can you pull my budget message from last year? Oh, yeah, and we can start at 4 o'clock. That would be great. I don't know if you all want to start. Is 4 okay? Okay. Yeah, let me get my calendar out. Hold on. Hold on. I'm pulling my calendar first. I'll get that information for you in a minute, Dan. Let's see, so next week. I have a meeting in Lexington next Thursday at 11 o'clock, so the 15th would not be good for me. What about, can y'all do Monday and Tuesday next week?
Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, 4 p.m.? Okay, that's last year, okay. Uh-huh, 12th and the 13th. Y'all can do that? Next Monday and Tuesday. Y'all want 2 or 3 days? Okay,
Advanced grammar, I got some.
4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. 7 o'clock where? Oh, okay. June 10th and 11th, County Advocacy Days. It's June 10th and 11th.
Going with that.
So what date you said?
Monday, the 12th and the 13th.
Okay. Then,
Everybody else okay with that?
see,
You can't do 12th and 13th? You can't?
no,
Okay, though. Don't we use that? And then we use it.
Y'all give me some more dates if you need more dates.
I'm fine at 12.
The 13th is my issue, but I'm okay.
You
Y'all go
can't do
ahead.
the 13th?
Got cards.
The DC meeting was canceled, correct?
Yes, sir.
How many days better come?
That's how we do it.
I'm pretty sure they do that now.
Or y'all want to do one day the week of the 12th and then one day the week of the 19th, so everybody can, that wants to make it?
Well, the 19th is board meeting. I got advanced grammar.
Okay, so what about the 12th and then the 20th?
12, that's fine with me.
Okay, so the 12th is okay for everybody, right, at 4 o'clock? Okay, so you want the next day to be the 20th?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
20.
4 o'clock?
Yeah.
12th and the 20th?
20th?
Yes. For now. Yeah, because they got,
Trying to get made on, yeah.
yeah, because we adopt on June 12th. We have until June 30, so if we need more time, then
With 12th and 20th.
No, but we can,
Traditionally.
yeah, well, we can just,
We would do like a afternoon.
how you feel about eating and working?
Huh?
How you feel about eating and working? We had a food here and we just,
That's why I said we usually.
Yeah.
do it after starting, because some people don't come for the,
okay,
but we don't know how long we're gonna be.
okay.
Started for, it was probably a long work session.
Yeah, just do a working lunch, just eat as y'all work. Is that okay? Start at 4 o'clock? Okay. So the 12th and the 20th?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. with
All
me.
right. And so I would ask, as you all are reviewing your books, if you have any questions, just make sure you email them so we can just be prepared to answer your questions in our work sessions. You can email them to me.
Traditionally, the 20th traditionally be the work session? And we just gonna have the budget session on that day?
The 12th, so we wouldn't have a work session this month because we don't have any work sessions scheduled for this month because it's budget. So the 12th and the 20th at 4 p.m., budget work sessions, okay? I was gonna, send out some other dates for you all to get those for me. I prefer the Board of ENR to be after our budget work sessions, but we'll schedule those as well. Okay. Oh. All right, okay, anyway. Okay, so you all need to take action to set the public hearing for the June 2nd regular meeting for the budget.
Let's set the public hearing for June 2nd for budget.
Got a motion? Second. And a second, any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. So that it concludes the county manager's report. Did that conclude?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Yes.
Question on the consent agenda.
That's in your report.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So we have a motion.
Yeah, they had some questions. I made the motion, but they have some questions.
So that's, okay,
Just hold up.
yeah.
Go ahead,
We'll go ahead.
let's go.
On page 125, it's the tax collection report.
Page 125.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, what the page number is that? Oh, goodness. Why I look like that? Hold on, wait. I don't see it. Oh, on the budget book or what are we looking at, Dan?
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda.
Mhm.
You said page 125?
125, yes.
I had a question before we got. to
Oh, it's
the
okay.
consent agenda.
Oh, yes.
In terms, I know you said you're gonna post the proposed budget tomorrow, you know, in terms of us, being transparent and asking for feedback from the public. Is there gonna be an avenue in which they can make suggestions or report concerns, so we'll be aware of them before we actually, have our, budget workshop?
So the only budget hearing that we've historically had is the night that you all adopt your budget. So I don't know that we need to do, yeah. Yeah. So that would be June. Yeah, it's only the option for June, and that's how we've historically done it. So we kept with the same calendar that we've always had. But remember, we had a public hearing in January as well for the budget. That was the first public hearing.
Well, I'm not really referring to the public hearing. I mean, if we're gonna sit down on May 12th and May 20th, if there's any concerns that the public may have, I would like to know. I'm not saying we hold a, work session or anything for that, but, maybe they can send, avenue where they can send in any suggestions or requests. So when we sit down and look at it, we know what's some of the public concerns are.
When they be at the public?
Yeah, and I guess the feedback that we've been receiving during public comment period are their concerns as well. I don't know that y'all want to recommend something different this year?
I mean, is there anything on the website where they can, make a response?
Just actual make comments on the budget, that would be the public hearing.
Yeah.
On June 2nd, and if there's something that they come in and speak to on June 2nd, and you all want to decide not to vote on the budget on June 2nd, you don't have to, and we have until June 30. Because that gives us 28 days if you all want to make changes based off of any concerns that the public may have.
Keep going this way.
That's my concern.
It's
would
only
be,
133 pages.
I wouldn't want to make changes after we already have our sessions and we've approved it versus trying to go back and make some changes. So I'm just saying, even if they, suggestion box, something where.
Okay,
they
you want to,
their own comments
I
instead
can,
of waiting till after the
Yeah.
fact, and then people come and they want us to change what we already done.
I can get with IT to see if they can set up a separate email address for them to maybe submit concerns to. And we can figure out something on our website as well. Yeah, that's fine.
That was my only concern.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion about the consent. Dan, why don't you make a motion about the?
They got some questions.
Questions on
They
it.
got some questions, right?
Oh, okay.
Right.
On this report on page one, it's the tax collection report. it shows us at 94%. But then on the March 24th fiscal year, it shows us at 12%, which I'm trying to figure out. You know, it shows us we've only got a $65,000 outstanding balance there. I'm just trying to explain it.
I don't have anybody here from tax. I'd have to get the information back to you, because I would need someone from tax office to explain it to me still.
Okay.
For fiscal year 24, it's showing, and it could just be.
Yeah,
I'm saying, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try it. I'll get an answer.
Okay, let's just say
Let's get it and get it back to him, okay?
Okay, now I guess the question is, when we do our budget, do we use this year's tax collection rate or our previous year's?
General Statute 159 says we use the tax collection rate as of June 30 of 2024.
Okay.
So which was 97.37 or something. Yeah, 97.37. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing was in the permits report, there was an individual that pulled 3 permits for houses. It's not a contract, and stated they were for him, for his personal home. It's kind of hard to do.
Okay. Can we talk about, I don't.
I've got them, I'll screenshotted them, so I'll send them to
Yeah,
you.
okay, all right. Okay.
Any more? You got some questions?
I just got one.
Okay.
So, Major Mitchell was up here talking about the jail contract that they may terminate or not terminate. So what's the status?
So he gave me a brief update last week. They have decided that I believe that they're gonna stay on board with us, and we're gonna start the process of looking at their contract to renew. Yeah, the recommendation from the sheriff and Mr. Mitchell was to keep jail health as it is until we build a new facility and then do an RFP process at that time.
So my next question is, I read somewhere in a statute, I don't remember exactly what it was, but have we audited that account to see the jailhouse account, the contract, the people that do the services?
Mm-hmm.
Has their numbers been audited? You know, looking at the prices and stuff, because I've seen a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was way up.
So it's my understanding that when that contract was negotiated, there weren't any provisions for, I believe, I can't remember what it, like overages. Yeah, there were no provisions for like overages. So I think Jeremy, who's their nurse, he wasn't included in the original contract, is my understanding. So that's why there's so many overages, because they need him in that facility, but the contract didn't include him initially, if that makes any sense. Yeah. That's why there's been so many overages in jail health. So the plan is to, when we review that contract, to make sure that it's included effective 7/1 of 2025.
So before you renew it, you're gonna do an audit to look at the whole entire stuff?
No, I mean, we can.
I'm
We
just
can- we
asking.
can- Yeah,
'cause
we
that's
can.
part of
Yeah.
us being,
Mhm.
okay.
And just review the charges, and we'll need assistance from the sheriff with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
but yeah, we can, because they're the ones that know the work that they're doing in the facility. But yeah, we can do that.
All right, thank you.
Yes, yeah, you're welcome.
Any more questions? Get a motion to accept the consent agenda items?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and second in discussion. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. Miscellaneous, Kelly.
Miscellaneous, we have 2 appointments for the month. For the Library Board of Trustees, appoint Brooke Spencer to fill a vacant position. And for the Henderson Vance Recreation Commission, appoint Sequana Charlie to fill a vacant position.
Move for approval of those 2 appointments.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
I mean, I know, during our, review of the upcoming agenda, there was some, talk about the need for, the new,
The America 250, the America 250 committee, because we only have 3 right now. Yeah, and I've actually sent an email out to my department heads and those same people that you recommended. I did that this morning. So if you all could advocate for the America 250 committee, that would be great. Anyone that knows anyone that wants to be on the America 250 committee, that would be great. United States will celebrate year 250 next year, so we need people for the committee for sure. And that application is on our website, up under boards and applications, or up under residents. Okay, up under residents.
Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So economic development. Discuss the economic development matters.
First, property matter.
Property matter. Okay. Second.
I have a motion and second, and discussion. All in favor? All opposed?